everybody is doing really well. Um, just thank you so much for taking the time out today to be here with us to get engaged in the space of PPP. As many of you already know, the Circle is a nonprofit that's working on reinventing schools and after schools and also teacher training in India. We do this through a bunch of different programs. We'll get into it shortly. But today's forum is really about public private partnerships or PPPs and how the Circle is exploring ways to unlock the potential of these partnerships through working closely with the public system. We are lucky to have two wonderful people here with us today who are going to share more about the work that the circle itself is doing and the opportunities that lie ahead. The first is Chahat Sangvi, Director of Model Development and Government Partnerships here at the Circle. Chahat has had multiple positions within the government and is a founding member of the Circle. With him, we have Isha, who represents the government of Rajasthan. She focuses on education and development and comes with a strong background in consulting on social impact and rural education partnerships. Together, Chahat and Isha will help us think about why this is the right time for PPPs and how these opportunities can start chipping away at some of the long standing barriers to reinventing education in India. Here's what the next 1 hour is going to look like. We'll start with a quick look of what the circle is doing, what's our why, our impact, and why we are choosing to work in PPP now. Then we're going to move into the role of the public-private partnership itself, the public system that we're going to be working with, and the model that we're trying to build together. During this 1 hour that we're going to spend together, if you have any questions or any thoughts, feel free to please put it in the chat box. We do have a Q&A at the end of this call that we'll be answering all of your questions. For those of you who are actually interested in this opportunity and starting a PPP model anywhere in the country with the circle, at the end of this call, we'll also be rolling out an interest form along with contact information for the POC for you to get in touch with. First up, I'm going to invite Chahat to get us started on what the circle is, our model, and our why.
Thank you so much, Anaga. Thank you everyone for making time for this call today and for allowing us to share a little bit about the work that we do. So when we started the circle a little over 3 years ago, we started it with some core founding beliefs, right? And one of the core beliefs that we started the circle with was that school as we know it just doesn't work. And it doesn't work for kids who come from low income backgrounds. In all my experience of working with government school kids and with all the experience that we've had in and observed across the country, we've realized that schools are not designed for economic mobility. Schools as we know it are not designed for kids to be able to really grow and work very well in the economic ladder and climb out of poverty. And hence, it's not serving the kids that it needs to serve. India has changed a lot over the last few years, but our schools have not changed and have not kept up with the way that they should have. The second core belief that we operated with was that every example of a great systems change across the world has gone thinking on how do you get very, very good, high quality schools off the ground. And what is your North Star for exceptional schools? What is your vision for what a good school looks like? And when you look at each stage, you look across and you look around yourself, every single government is trying to get model schools off the ground, and they do so just to be able to bring in that anchor point for what a good school system can be so that other schools can learn, grow, and emulate the same. And then finally, our core belief was that we can't really reinvent the roles of schools without reinventing the role of teacher development in our country. And with at the intersection of those three beliefs, we said that we'd have to come together and build this organization that does multiple things. So at the circle, we do three big things. We've got a network of schools and after school programs. And the primary role of this network is to be able to build proof points for the larger ecosystem. Our incubation program finds entrepreneurs from across the country to be able to build these schools with us. Over the last 3 years, we've worked with about 30 plus entrepreneurs, and we now have 40 entrepreneurs in our network. And these network serves as a network of schools and after schools that are learning from each other and growing from each other. I share a lot more about it as we go along the day. But the second program that I'd love to talk about is Circle Labs. And so through Circle Labs, we run multiple short-term programming, multiple short-term courses. And over the last year, we've had about 8 programs through which we've worked with thousands of educators across the country. And then finally, we've recently launched our teacher development program, which is Circle U, in partnership with Nayanta University in Bangalore, Nayanta University in Pune, where we work with teachers across the country, about 130 aspirational teachers from over 15 locations in the country to be able to build this with us. And then over the last 3 years, we've launched 18 plus programs. We've worked with 8,000 plus kids and have the opportunity to serve them. We've also worked with thousands of educators, over 13,000 educators through the labs, and we're impacting currently over 14 locations in the country. My hope is that today we can dive deeper into what the opportunities are and how the circle plans to scale a lot of this efforts in partnership with the number of people that we have on the call today. So when we started the circle, one of our big beliefs was that the education system in general needs to be able to do better to be able to serve the kids that are in need for this. And over the last 3 years, we've realized that while 50% of all schools in the country are public schools, are government schools, that means that 25 crore students are currently part of the government school ecosystem. There are only 5 PPP school networks within the country. And hence, what we realized is that if it is our goal to be able to serve these kids, we'd have to do a lot more to be able to grow and go in areas where nobody else is going. Our hope is that with the calls today, with the types of partnerships that we are trying to strike, that we are able to launch more PPP networks across the country. Our goal today, of course, with Isha on the call, is to be able to focus on Rajasthan, among other opportunities that the circle has to offer. So Shreya is a very, very special entrepreneur, right? And Shreya is part of our founding cohort of entrepreneurs. Shreya launched something called Sitara Akka, which is a very, very cool e-learning platform where she runs multiple stages of learning across Karnataka and is serving currently 4,500 kids across all the districts in Karnataka. And over the last year or so, she has signed an MOU with the Mysore local administration so that they're able to serve about 5,000 government school kids and help them improve their grades in their board examinations. And our hope is to be able to find more Shriyas in the quest to be able to find these entrepreneurs. And in these photographs, you'll see how Sitara Akka has just signed an MOU with the local administration of 2 governments, and then a number of kids in government schools participating and engaging with Sitara Akka. Another entrepreneur, very dear friend of mine, who is a fantastic educator, has taught in some of the best schools across the country, deeply believes in the head, heart, and hand approach. Left everything behind, went back to Saurashtra and took over a PPP school. It's a residential PPP school that he's taken over, and then is implementing all of the learnings that he's had across the top schools that he's taught across the country to be able to build a really local curriculum and ped for these kids. And then over the last year or so, Varun has brought about some great change, right? So these are kids who hated attending school. And then within the school, he's seen that the attendance has shot up significantly. He's seen learning level outcomes grow significantly. And then he's bringing in a lot of practical heart and hand within his education ped that you see kids baking stuff, you see kids running a shop within the school. And it's a very, very innovative PPP school that Varun is running in Saurashtra. Here you'll see a few photographs of Varun in action, a number of kids at Varun's school, and then the beautiful campus that they have that's spread across acres and acres in Saurashtra. Right. So when we look at these entrepreneurs and we look at the work that we want to do, we want to simplify the journey of what a PPP model for the circle entrepreneur could look like, right? And we think that year one of this is for the entrepreneur to come in and engage with the community that they work in. And hence, from now up till August 2026, we would hope that the entrepreneur go on ground, understand the concept, understand the community, understand what is it that the community really needs. And the second part of that journey is for them to be incubated at the circle, right? So from August 26th to Jan of 2028, they would engage with our circle incubation, and through the 18 months, design, bring back best practices, engage within the network, leverage that learning to be able to bring the exposure, bring the learnings to their context. And then the final element, which is that our hope is that post incubation, the entrepreneur is able to spin this off as a separate organization and run this, and so that they're able to run it as a network of schools within the region and build a blueprint for themselves. Right. And our 18-month incubation program has a lot to offer, right? And we've just put down a few elements here. For example, each of the entrepreneur would visit highest of high performing schools across India and the world. They would get a chance to apprentice at a high performing school. They would work with an executive coach to be able to build their leadership skills, to be able to build their technical skills. They would be able to leverage a network of peers and community leaders. This is, of course, across the 40 entrepreneurs that are part of the network, but also the wider circle ecosystem and network. Attend master classes, attend training days to be able to access specific content, to be able to leverage tools and SOPs that we've designed at the incubation so that they're able to really build on top of that. Of course, the government liaisoning and support that would be needed to launch the school. And then a lot more, like work with dedicated mentors, work with our circle program team, work with the model development team. These teams work actively and it's their day job to be able to help you build the school of your dreams. Right. And now we come back to our focus for the day. So over the last 12 months or so, we've visited multiple state governments. We've been engaging with multiple opportunities to see what is it that we can bring to our network and what would be that area that would be the most high impact for the circle along with an entrepreneur to engage with. One of those partnerships has been Rajasthan, and we've been very fortunate to have been invited in Rajasthan by the government there. We have a representative from the government today to be able to talk more to that. And then within Rajasthan, we want to explore this as a first opportunity out of many that we'll keep bringing to this group, keep bringing to our network over the next year or so. But I'd love to invite Isha today to talk a little more to this opportunity and share her thoughts today.
Thank you so much, Chahat and the whole Circle India team. Being one of the first government pilot projects, we are very excited. And to give you further information, I'm representing MLA Nathdwara, Shri Vishwaraj Singh Mewad here. So currently I'm consulting him on a couple of developmental projects, being education being one of the thematic areas. And when we saw the state of schools and different constraints governments have, we decided it's best to explore a PPP model, because in government, whenever you want to try a new thing, there's so many policy and layers you have to go through. But with private partnerships, those things can come very easily. So currently what we're planning is that we will ensure one school is adopted by the Circle India by the end of this academic year. And then with the government and the entrepreneur who will be involved, you'll learn more about this program later on, and the Circle India team. We will set up some goals, and the goals will be such that they are kind of universally expected standards for learners, but also what are the needs of kids from this region. And we're really looking forward to it. And we can move to the next slide. So recently, a delegation from Circle India with Chahat and Sreyoshi and visited Nathdwara. And we had an opportunity to visit a couple of government schools. And I'll discuss briefly what the key problems are and what, outcomes they lead to. Unfortunately, this is very standard in many government schools across India. So firstly, with the current government school policy, what happens is students have to pass up until grade 8, no matter what they have learned, what they have not learned. Like everyone just gets an automatic pass. So on paper, it looks very nice that all the students are passing. There's very high enrollment, but it not always translates into good learning. And what this leads is to, it kind of promotes a low rigor teaching, because already government schools are understaffed. And in some situations, even teachers are a bit complacent because there's high job security involved. And they know that they can keep promoting the student no matter what. So they don't invest a lot of time and energy in ensuring they achieve grade level in grade level fluency and numeracy skills. And often the classroom engagement is also low, and a combination of all of this leads to low academic performance. So when students come to grade 9, they're highly unprepared, and it makes it quite difficult for high school teachers also. Because if there's a student in class who cannot even read Hindi properly, like there's no way that teacher can, complete the syllabus of grade 9 and also, focus on meeting the basic literacy and numeracy standards. Even though if a kid is smart, there is not much that can be done at that point. So what ends up happening is either a lot of students drop out after grade 10, or even if they pass, the degree is sort of irrelevant because they don't even have the basic fluency in language and maths, like forget digital literacy and all of those things. And this leads to kind of low enrollment in colleges and post-secondary education, low unemployment, low sort of entrepreneurship, and most of the kids, they end up going into informal network of work. And another problem that we identified was that although there are schools that are good, that have very enthusiastic teachers and students, but sadly, there is no clear way students can access career options also. Usually, they rely on information from alumni of their school or just what people are doing locally. But these days, after COVID, there are just so many opportunities in terms of free online learning, scholarships they can apply to, and all of these things, but often they don't even know how to plan. So we are really hoping to reverse these things with the help of Circle India. That first, whichever school they adopt, we want to ensure all the kids get basic fluency, develop good communication skills, and in coming years also have strong career awareness. Passing it to you, Chahat.
Thank you. So here's our invitation. Come build this with us. We have someone very specific in mind, and you'll see all of that on this slide, right? And what we're looking for is somebody who understands education, who's willing to commit the next few years to be able to build this as a network of schools in Rajasthan, has had some experience to be able to build high impact teams or worked in an environment that has allowed that, is able to demonstrate the ability to work in complex problems and complex systems and navigate them really well. Strong communication, negotiation, and stakeholder engagement is key because this is a multi-stakeholder partnership, right? We have the Circle India involved, we have the community, we have the government as a stakeholder, and of course the entrepreneur and the team that they'll build around themselves. We hope that the entrepreneur come in with some understanding or some experience having worked with the government and engaged, but it's not mandatory for them. But our biggest hope is that they come in with high amount of ownership, accountability, that they come in with resilience, and they hold the same vision as us for where and how high we can take this collectively. And while the roles and responsibilities aren't as linear as we put them down on this table, our hope is to be able to have a starting hypothesis to what the roles and responsibilities could be. So we've put down a few that we think are key, and we feel like we should co-design this as we go along with the entrepreneur. But a starting point is that the circle would help facilitate the government partnership, help the entrepreneur think through the fundraising avenues, help them think through how the funding for the schools can come about, and help find ways for the entrepreneur to be able to leverage the circle network. And our hope is that the entrepreneur takes all of this and is able to design a high quality school that's innovative in nature and serving the local needs of the community, is able to expand over some period of time from one school to a few other schools within the region, and is able to participate and immerse themselves into the core incubation program, which is a very fun, very high rigor, and very, very beautiful program that we've designed for all of our entrepreneurs.
Now, moving on to the government section, I think just the public-private partnership, it's very self-explanatory that you'll have to deal a lot with the government. So basically, we are hoping that the school will already be in the place in the sense of basic infrastructure and all those things. And we'll try to get as much support as we can from government, be it midday meals and textbooks and that sort of thing that government usually provides to pupils. But being the entrepreneur, it will be your responsibility to ensure all permissions are there, all regulations are secured. Of course, we'll guide you. There'll be a nodal officer, and the current policy maker, MLA Nadar, is very keen on it. But again, governments change, officers they get transferred. So, like, you will have to be the proactive person who tries all these things. Second thing is you will be the bridge between the government and community and the Circle India. So you have to ensure the student enrollment is decent, the local community is involved, and whatever government is providing. So for example, if government makes an announcement that they are going to renovate all libraries by 2026, it's you are the person who has to take it upon themselves to, write to the nodal officer, ensure your school's library also gets that facility and whatnot. And thirdly, you will be working with the Circle India and the MLA Nathdwara to set short-term and long-term goals and kind of assess on hopefully a quarterly basis, like how many of those goals are being met, what are the key progress indicators, what are the challenges you're facing, so you can work holistically.
So now, just taking this time to open this forum up for any questions, queries that you might have, and to moderate this, I'd like to invite Arshia.
Thanks for that, Anagha and Chahat and Isha. That was very helpful. It covered a lot of things, and I'm sure we all have a few burning questions and things that we want clarification on. We'll open up the Q&A space. Feel free to also ask questions related to our approach to PPP, and if you just want to know more about the school and the partnerships, apart from this specific opportunity as well, we want to hold space for that conversation. Before we do that, I do want to open up a poll so that we have a few questions that we want your responses on, and then we can proceed with our Q&A. So it's coming up on your screen right now. We'll take about a second and then move on. Let me know if you're not able to see it.
Just to add, the poll is also our way of reaching out to you post this call. So those of you who are interested in this opportunity or are interested in exploring building a PPP school anywhere in the country with the circle, please do fill in the poll. Thank you.
Okay, couple of entries coming in. Okay, as people are filling in, I think we had one question that I can just surface. Chahat, and you can take it up. It was from Pavitra around what criteria do you use to select the school?
Yeah, it's multiple criteria, Pavitra. Thanks so much for asking that question. So we've got like a laundry list of things that we look for when we look for the schools that we want to partner with. Among those, a few things are what is the current local atmosphere within the school? Is there a willingness for the stakeholders to sort of grow and go and take that to multiple places? What grades does the school currently serve? What is the current state of the infra within the schools? Um, how does the government feel about that school? What is the local political scene within and around that school? It's many factors that we take, and even after we've got those factors, a lot of inputs are actually part of our site visit. So while it's very scientific, it's not science. So it's a combination of how we feel when we go on ground, when we speak to the stakeholders, along with the multiple parameters that we assess when we speak to the stakeholders as well.
All right. Thank you for that, Chahat. Thanks, Amina, for starting us off with some of the questions. Hi, everybody. I'm Arsha. I'm also part of the founding team at The Circle. I look at recruitment for all of our entrepreneurs, PPP, or anything else you're thinking, as well as our lab programming, along with Amina here and Anaga, who've been spearheading this space. Isha, welcome to the space. So that's so glad to have you here and sharing, this opportunity with everybody. Despite knowing a lot of this beforehand, it's still very, very exciting for me to see all of it in one place. And just the juice of this opportunity is amazing and must not be missed. With that, let's ask Utkarsh's question. Utkarsh, you've typed this down so I can say it out loud. In case you want to come off mute and ask it yourself, let me know. I'm going to wait for 3 seconds.
Yeah, I can speak.
Lovely, go for it.
Sure, it's the same as I wrote that, like, if we are to start and if we are to implement a school, what does that journey look like from end to end?
Yeah, I can take a shot at answering that, Utkarsh. So for the next 8 to 9 months, Utkarsh, you be on ground, you focus on this opportunity, get as much insight as possible to be able to understand the community's needs, do an analysis of where the community is currently at, work closely with the kids to be able to pilot a few programs so that you know what's working and what's not working. All, of course, with the support of the Circle Incubation, with the core program team, and all the stakeholders on this call right now. Post that is when the incubation starts, Utkarsh. So once the incubation follows its own due course. And then for the next 18 months, while you would be working on ground, we will help you build a team. You attend our programming every month for a period of 5 days. And then when you attend that program, you take back those learnings. So each month we cover a separate chapter of school building. 1 month, it might just be designing your theory of change, getting that vetted across with experts. In another month, it could be teacher development. And how do you do that? So each month we do that for 5 days. You take back those learnings back to your context, you pilot, prototype, test, pivot, repivot along with the support of the program team and the circle team. And then you come back for the next 5 days and tell us how it went, and we do another chapter of school building. That's how the incubation works. And then finally, the goal is so that each entrepreneur is able to spin this off as their own organization. So while you get started at the circle, you build this with us. Our goal is that you register your own organization, build your own team over a certain period of time.
Amazing, thank you. Can I ask a small follow-up?
Of course.
So let's say that we are to work with a school and we go and research, we figure things out, and then start implementing with the help of the circle. These would be government schools, I'm guessing. They will be aligned to some curriculum, certain standards, certain educational models. So are we also allowed to impart our own educational values into this school, or does it have to be just an execution task?
Yeah, very, very good question, Utkarsh. I think you're on a roll today. So the if I was to tell you that the checkpoints are quite determined by the government, right? That each year kids write these examinations, that they finish the syllabus, assume those as the checkpoints in a race, but you'd have multiple routes to be able to access those checkpoints. Because the government is a stakeholder in this, I don't think that it would be a hindrance to um, try innovative practices and pedagogies within the school. But I would love for Isha to also jump in to weigh in if she thinks otherwise.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part, Chahat. Could you repeat it?
Yeah, what I meant is that while there is a fixed checkpoint that kids must write the exam and that we must complete the syllabus, the how element on how we complete the syllabus, on how innovative we can be, or what we can do within classrooms is freedom that the entrepreneur will get, um, and so that they're able to bring their own world and world views to the school and teach in their own way.
Yes, I agree. So the way we are envisioning it will work is currently the Circle India team and I we are working on selecting a school, and simultaneously we are also trying to find an entrepreneur. So what we'll do is we'll share like the basic details about the school, be it the infrastructure, the learning level of students, and all of it. then already we have made a list of the goals based on a community assessment. But again, you are also free to bring your own goals. And as Chahat said, it's really up to you. I mean, of course, students in grade 5 need to be at a certain level, which is designed by government and which is like a really good criteria. But how you do it, by taking them on a field trip or showing them videos or, doing activities, that's really up to you. And I think once you kind of visit the school and all, you'll get a better sense of, what strategies do students respond most to. And as Shahat mentioned, I also reiterated, our hope is to give you the flexibility to choose your own staff as well, because in our experiences, we have seen when there are some private people and some government people involved, there can be little friction. It's just the expectations from both are a little different. So we are hoping the infrastructure, the permissions, that sort of thing would be given by government, midday meal and this sort of thing. But the execution, that would be done by you and your team.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for answering both my questions.
Thanks so much, Utkarsh, for asking these questions. I hope the responses were also useful to the other listeners. Let's move now to Gaurav, who had his hand raised even while the presentation was going on. So, Gaurav, go for it.
Thanks, Chahat, Desha. I'm in a low network zone, so won't be able to come on the video. Arsha, while my hand was raised during the presentation, I was asking for a colleague to be joined in because he was waiting in the room. Then I had a conversation in the chat separately. Coming back to the question, so is it that a single entrepreneur will run the school, and can he or she be also having a team? That's part of A of the question. And also B, what sort of remuneration tentatively would Circle provide while they are in the incubation period? So if those can be answered.
Yeah, Asha, do you want to take this or should I?
Go for it, Chahal. Your space.
Sure. So, Gaurav, I'm going to take a shot. If I miss some element of the question, just please bring it back for me. But as far as I can remember, you asked what sort of remuneration and can people have their own teams?
Yes, that's the question. The remuneration that would be provided, and also additionally, if the person who would be the entrepreneur, if can she or he also have a team in place, because basis the size of the school, number of students there. If he or she thinks that he or she should have a team, that is that a possibility?
Yes, the answer is yes. We hope that each entrepreneur that comes in, or say a young organization that wants to do this and is able to partner with the circle to be able to do this, is able to build their own team. We could help you build that team if you feel like that is a need that you have. We have organizations that come to us for those needs within the incubation, and we help them figure out their talent and their leadership verticals at the incubation. It's not a restriction. You have autonomy on deciding who works with you on this and how you want to go along that journey. Regarding the remuneration, because the designation says that this would be an entrepreneur in residence and not a staff member of the circle, our hope is that we provide you a stipend to get started, and then help you figure out how you figure the fundraising for the school and for the network of schools. So for the next 8 months, the circle will provide a remuneration in the form of a stipend of 60,000 rupees. And then we go from that stipend to the stipend within the incubation's first year, which is 60,000 per month as well. And then post that, our hope is that you would be able to fundraise for the organization yourself. All of that, we would help and work closely with you to be able to figure out the strategy for all of that. If you find independence and are able to achieve it sooner, the stipend is only a support system to help you figure these pieces out. So we've got multiple opportunities where entrepreneurs have come back saying that they don't want the stipend because they figured out the funding for the school. And that is a fantastic way to approach it as well.
Thanks, Chad. That was helpful. I hear it 60, right?
Yes.
That's per month. Thank you. That was helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks so much for that, Gaurav. Next, actually, I think we have a question from Prakash. One part of Prakash's question, if I could just address that really quickly, trying to find it. There you go. So Prakash's question is about funding, what it looks like from piloting to scaling, and is the incubation online, offline? I'll just take this question. So Chahat actually addressed some of those questions about what funding will look like. A lot of what funding will look like will be dependent upon the fact that you will be part of the incubation program. And so a lot of those elements will apply. You, of course, have your stipend that we will be supporting with. There is, of course, the infrastructural support that the Nathdwara government and system will provide. And as Isha spoke about a little bit in the presentation as well, that the hope will be there, all the schemes and overall support that is provided to children will still be there. Apart from that, we also open grants at the Circle Incubation exclusively for Circle entrepreneurs, which support you in launching and running the organization, which are periodically launched across your 18-month program and beyond. And they increase in the value that can be provided to specifically a school over the period of your programming. So, for example, initially, while the grant can be as low as 1 to 5 lakhs, it can extend up to 35 for a school. But that, of course, is dependent upon your requirements, the number of children that you're addressing, and so on. So that's what funding might look like. If anybody wants to add from Chahat or Isha on either aspect of it, the Circle's part or the government's part, you can. The incubation being online or offline, I responded to that on your on the comments. However, I will still say it out loud for everybody else. The incubation is a hybrid program, but it has an intensive and mandatory in-person commitment for every month on the month for at least the next 18 months as soon as you join, right? So I would say don't consider it an hybrid program because it is a full-time 18-month commitment, of course, with your school being what takes up most of your time and the rest of your time going to the incubation, right? With that, I also now want to open up the floor to Chahat. Before I move on, anything you guys want to add, Isha, Chahat, to the funding question?
Yeah, I want to just add that Isha, along with the MLA's office and the Circle India, are trying to figure out a financial model for this to work. Along with that, we do a lot of skill building at the incubation, and we're a skill building organization at the Circle on how do you fundraise. Our goal is for you to succeed, and hence all of the work that we do is in service of that. So, just adding on to what Arshia mentioned, that there is a piece that the government will figure out, there is a piece that the Circle will figure out, and we'll teach you the rest of it. You don't have to come in with expertise of fundraising. In fact, you'd be surprised that almost all of our entrepreneurs don't come in with prior fundraising experience, and they've become ninjas right now. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, Chahat. There were a couple of questions from, if I remember correctly, Sejal and Hassan, which were about opportunities for PPPs outside of this particular one. So, Chahat, if you could quickly address that, where are we on that? What should we say? Yes, there are opportunities. So just handing it over to you.
Yeah, so we've had about 4 or 5 meetings in the last few months with multiple stakeholders within the government, um, various governments, various positions, and then various locations as well. Um, and we've got a bunch of meetings lined up. So it's our day job to be able to find these opportunities and bring them to you. We're in active exploration and not in a position to be able to reveal the exact locations, but a lot of Maharashtra, a lot of Karnataka, a lot of Telangana, a lot of North India is currently active, and we are having those conversations. I see a lot of other geographies in the region. So if you have a hint of a great conversation that could be had with a potential stakeholder, I'm just one flight away. And I'm happy to come down and have that conversation. But these are the ones that we're having currently. And happy to go into more specifics with any one of those one-on-ones that we do with you and address if we are or are not in a region that you're interested in, or if we can or cannot explore that through another partner organization and figure that out for you. But yeah, not in a place to be able to directly address which locations, but it's multiple of them across multiple regions.
Thank you for that. I think that was just took care of, I think, all questions hopefully that you might have, which means Sejal has then, if you have a location in mind, if you have a particular official in mind, if you have an idea in mind, or and has then in your case, if you have actually quite a fleshed out idea, please reach out to us. We are ready to have a conversation. Another thing I would add here is that this is a very interesting chicken and egg situation, right? Often the entrepreneurs, especially when we're looking to develop PPP models, are looking for an opportunity and an opening. However, there are government representatives that are also looking for entrepreneurs to come, and then they will open that opportunity. So there's a very interesting juggle that we're doing right now. Nathdwara happens to be right at the balance there, and therefore we're offering it. But there's quite a few that once we have an entrepreneur and once we have the official, then we make the connection and the magic happens. Yeah. So please just reach out to us and then we can extend that conversation. Let's move on to the next question. Actually, so Ayush, you said that you visited MGIS in Ahmedabad. So would the PPP model look similar? And actually, a second question might be a relevant one for everybody here, which is that would this be a new school setup or a transformation of an existing government school? Right? Fair question to ask. Either of you, maybe, if you want to address the question one by one or collectively.
We're exploring both routes. To be very honest, we're exploring both routes, but there is a higher chance that the school will be an existing school just because new schools take slightly longer to figure things out with. And our timelines are slightly closer. So our hope is that we can start with an existing school and then over the next few years, probably find a new school to be able to build this with as well. But this would mostly be an existing school.
Just a follow up to that then. Hi, I'm Ayush. So so then the students would so basically the school would already have students then. New enrollments would basically be the next academic year for, let's say, grade 1 or KG or whatever the entry level class would be. But beyond that, it will be an existing functioning school which will need to be transformed in some sense or made innovative and progressive with practices that can be adopted there.
Yeah, I would just shy away from using the word transform because if we aren't using a majority of the school's leadership, if we aren't using a majority of the school's manpower, then for all intents and purposes, we're using the school's infrastructure and the students are participating like they would participate in any other school. And hence, I don't know what the right word is yet. Probably somewhere a combination of transformed and have built a model school. But it's somewhere in between that.
And sorry, slightly more controversial question. I don't, if the faculty of the school, would it remain the same as was there earlier, or how would that play out? I mean, I'm just trying to, would it involve capacity building of the existing faculty, or would there be flexibility to see if there's an element of, bringing in new teachers, etc., wherever essential?
Yeah. Isha, feel free to jump in. I can just take a shot at answering this and then feel free to jump in if you feel you want to add something here. So each of the entrepreneur would have autonomy to be able to build their team within the school. And that means that they would have the opportunity to be able to recruit teachers, train teachers as and when, and what they feel is best. As part of the Circle incubation, also, that is one offering that we have, that we work closely with your teachers to be able to upskill them and build that. So any teachers that you recruit, we would upskill them with you, for you, in service of that larger mission.
Yeah.
And as far as the school is concerned, one of the big criteria for selecting the school itself is that it does not have a lot of school teachers, government school teachers, and hence, in that sense, not a lot of transfers are needed to be able to pick that school up. Having said that, like while a great circumstance is for each entrepreneur to have full autonomy over the talent within the school, it's rarely the case, and hence some sort of a hybrid is what we've observed with multiple stakeholders across the country. So yeah.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ayush, for your questions as well. Moving on to Gokula. Gokula's question was mostly around the selection process for the program and how would it matter if you're working currently?
Yeah, Akshay, you should take this.
Yeah, so I will, and then maybe if you could add any bits that I miss out on, Chahat. So, our selection process for this will, in essence, remain similar to the way we look for our entrepreneurs and residents for the incubation program, since we are looking for entrepreneurs and residents for the incubation program, except that we're just getting you in a little bit before that to start off. Therefore, the competencies that we look for remain the same. A lot of what we need and what we want is already spelled out in the JD, which Anaga may have either already shared or will be sharing. So you can refer to that when you think about, what we are looking for. In terms of what the selection process will look like, right now, we are in the process of discovery. We want to speak to you. So the first thing would be that we'd like to chat with you. We'd love to learn a little bit more about the work you've been up to, why you would want to do this. As we proceed with that conversation, we will be opening an application, which will be a written/video application. Based on shortlisting of that application, we will be inviting a few candidates in person to a specific location. This will either be Delhi, Mumbai, or it may be a third location, dependent on what the majority of candidates where they are coming in from. Where we'll be spending some time with you in person, over a few experiences, over a panel discussion, and so on, to gauge again the suitability for following through with this particular opportunity. Yeah. How would it matter if you're working currently? Of course, you can continue to work for as long as we are in the application and selection process. But once we do roll out an offer, we expect you to then move to this full time. This will not be a part-time role that you will be doing. Chahat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe it's possible for someone to do this part-time. Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's now someone with Yash's name, but I'm not sure if your name is Yash. Has had their hands raised.
That's Yash and I'm Madhvi.
Hi, Madhvi. Lovely.
Hi, Yash and Madhvi.
Go ahead. You can ask it.
So I had a couple of questions. The first one is, what does the commitment look like after 5 years? I saw it in one of the slides where it said it's an initial commitment of 5 years, but if one is to do something like this, one would assume there will be a longer commitment, probably more permanent in nature. So what does that look like? Just to understand.
Yeah. I mean, if we did write that it would be a commitment of your lifetime, it would be a little overwhelming, and hence we put a few years down. We do
Right.
understand that this sort of transformation will take many years.
Right.
But we want to start out with something that's a non-negotiable. That,
Understood.
having somebody
But it's
there
not
for
a switch in and switch out situation where
Not at all.
we
Not at
move
all.
out and some other entrepreneur comes in and takes over
No,
the
no,
school.
no, not
Understood.
at all. Our hope is that, you're able to see, if we look at our country, we look at any large PPP school network, when we look at an Akanksha or an iTeach, their inflection point actually happens in year 10.
Right.
Which
It
is
takes
why
about,
this is why you'll observe that there are only 5 or 7 networks within the country, because it's so difficult to sort of make that movement happen for the first 10 years or so. And hence what we are saying is that we'll provide that support so that it's easier for somebody to build a network of schools. That's all we are
Right.
saying, and hence we're saying that 5 years is a non-negotiable, and hence it's on paper. But of course, our hope would be that this would be a longer dream and aspiration of yours as much as it is ours, and that you'd be able to continue to do it as long as we think you need to be there.
Right. And as an extension of the last question, then 5 years, like you said, is not enough to establish one school. Then if we are to build a network of schools, what is the timeline that you've seen so far with other entrepreneurs or edupreneurs for setting up a network of schools in their area? How long have you seen people taking to do something like that?
Yeah, the closest example that comes to mind is iTeach schools. And we have Soumya Jain, who's the founder of IT Schools on our board. And he is a very good friend of the organization. And if I recall that he started one school and stayed with that one school and built that into a brilliant proof point for 2 years. And then he scaled from 1 to 2 uh, after the second year. And then he scaled to about 5 schools by year 5. And
Okay.
he's currently at over 10 schools across multiple geographies and is exploring how his impact can be much larger. Um, that's an example that comes to mind because while it's slow, it's much more sure. Having said that, Soumya didn't have a Soumya to look back to. And hence, we all of us in this room do have a starting point, which is that there is a certain circle incubation network. There is the support that the circle provides. There is great partners like Isha and the government of Rajasthan that's almost willing to make that change happen for the entrepreneur. And of course, there is all the proof points that have come across in the Circle Incubation Network and Soumya and an Akanksha and a people and a team, so on and so forth. So we do have a starting point, and hence my assumption is that it could be done faster, but we shouldn't compromise on quality at the cost of speed, and hence surety matters as much as the acceleration.
Understood. And in terms of the understanding with the government, what is the percentage of control that the entrepreneurs would be able to maintain in the school? And I'm talking about decision making, and to be able to do things in your own way. Is there a lot of involvement from the government in terms of how much they'd want to see and know about the place?
Yeah. Isha, do you want to jump in?
Sure. So I think the specific, we don't have a defined percentage yet, but as we mentioned in our earlier conversation, we have set up some very basic goals based on community assessment, and some very benchmark that government already has. At grade 5 student, they should be able to read this, do these kind of calculations. And then Circle India also has recommendations. And then I hope is once the entrepreneur come in, they also kind of assess the environment and students, they'll set up their goals, and 3 parties together, sort of government, entrepreneur, and Circle India, they'll sort of align on it. But eventually, it's going to be your call because you'll be the one running the school. Right now, at the start of it, we can give you all the information we have, like having been associated with the school so far. And so far, the person who is in charge, like MLA Nadwara, is very keen and open to new ideas. So not the kind of person who just just doing it for his own agenda. So I'm hoping there will be decent level of flexibility. But then again, something like whether students should have higher fluency in English or vernacular languages. Like there'll be these topics that will need more discussion, because another thing, like I've also run an educational NGO, and what I have seen and studied from research is that it's better for students to learn in vernacular languages. But what community and parents feel as a success matrix is if the children can speak English. So those are the things.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
So those are the things where, like entrepreneur will have to come in and kind of set a goal that no, for 2 years, our aim is Hindi fluency. In 3 years, this level of English and so on. And you will sort of have our support on that. But yeah, some topics, there will be kind of a difference of opinion, so to speak, with some of the stakeholders.
Understood. So my takeaway is that this is an understanding that will be arrived at with the government official at the initiation of the process, and there's nothing set in stone in terms of what the structure is going to look like. Is that correct?
We have a hypothesis.
Okay. The
we have a
broad
starting
parameters
point.
that you outlined now, I understand
Yes.
that, but nothing that is precisely like putting pen to paper at this point of time. Understood. Cool. That was about it. Thank you.
Thanks for that so much, Madhvi and Yash. Um, let's move to a few other perhaps questions. Aditya, you had several questions, and I'm trying to answer one of your philosophical ones actually on the chat. So we'll get there. And if I'm unable to, then we'll bring that. But there is a logistical question here that I would love for Isha perhaps to address. So this opportunity is being offered by an MLA. What happens to the MOUs if there's a change in government?
So right now for 4 years, we don't anticipate that change. I mean, unless there's a vote for no confidence and all those kind of things, we cannot anticipate. But what will happen is usually in these kind of MOUs, it's not the minister or the MLAs who are involved. It's usually like IS officers, government secretaries, and so on. So of course, right now we will sign a 5-year agreement, and since it's a quite a small project in big scheme of things, we don't anticipate that once the new government comes, they will just scrape it off. What we'll have to work on at the end of kind of this government's tenure, like work on the transition process. So again, I anticipate we'll work with the senior officers in education department, not at the local level, but at Rajasthan level. So they can redirect the local officers that this is in stone and this will go on for this period of time.
I want to just add one thing here that, as part of the requirements for this particular role, we did mention that it would require great stakeholder management. And the execution of that, as I see it, is to be able to build cultivation over the next few years with multiple levels within the government, right? And so there is stakeholders within the school and community. Then there happens to be block level officials, district level officials, and then state level officials. And I think the opportunity is to be able to really leverage the connections that we have, the opportunity, the MOU, to be able to build cultivation across multiple levels over the next few years, so that the interests of the community are kept in mind and any decisions are taken by any stakeholder.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Isha. Thanks so much, Chahat. That actually brings us to a close in terms of our questions, just about right on time. Excuse me. Unless someone suddenly has a question that has popped up just now in your head, I will give you about 10 seconds to ask any question that is popping up right now, anything that some of these responses may have started churning for you. If not, now those 10 seconds have passed. We
Can I?
will be sharing a little bit. Oh, someone said, can I?
I said, can I?
Oh, Chad, go.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but what I was just reiterating, and I know that the team has brought this up multiple times, but we've got this very, very good opportunity where we've got multiple stakeholders from the government of Rajasthan interested to make something great happen, right? And it's rarely where an opportunity like this comes together. So I would request all of y'all to think about it, see if you know somebody who would be a good fit, if you don't think that you are, and connect with us, talk to us. But outside of this space also, and outside of the opportunity that we've got in Rajasthan also, the circle is actively talking in multiple rooms across multiple locations to multiple stakeholders on how we can build this sort of a partnership for many, many people like you. So if you're interested, write to us, let us know what you're interested in. We've got a huge funnel of folks that we're talking to actively. And we talk to you, we put you in the funnel, we engage with you as and when the opportunity arises, and we keep coming back to you with more such opportunities. I think somebody's raised their hands.
Yes, I have a
Two
question from
questions.
Shubhashri and then Navakanta.
Go for it.
Hi all, good evening. So I have one question as we have discussed and I can also see on the screen, the first pilot begins in October. So what happens if the person who is like going to apply, if the person already like has begun with their pilot or anything, will it be considered? Because suppose if it's already begun in the month of May or something like that, will it be considered then? Will the impact and all the learnings and everything will be considered for the incubation? Thank you.
Yeah, Shubhashri, great question. I'm going to just answer that in like one line, that the pilot is not a selection parameter for you to make to the incubation, but it is a way to understand and address the needs of the community. So you go on ground, you understand the needs of the community, you research the community, know where they're at, you do a baseline with kids maybe. Once you've done all of that, you design like small specific pilots for the kids, and you see whether the work that you want to do is working out. You then slowly moved into the incubation. It is not a selection parameter. We only select now. And if you do get selected, you're part of the Circle incubation program for 2026 anyways.
All right. And thank you so much, Shahad. I just have another question, just a follow-up. So the if like so for in order to get, I understand that it's not a selection parameter. So in order to apply, do the that particular person who is doing the project, do they have to like showcase impact and number also, like what kind of like how much they have impacted the pilot they have designed, how much impact they have created in terms of number also?
Yeah, yes and no. They wouldn't have to show it to show us. But my sense is that they would have to uh, try and demonstrate to the larger network of folks that we've got here that the work that they're doing is scientifically backed and hence is proving its worth within the community, because we deeply believe that each child that's going to receive that education should not be a prototype for the entrepreneur, and hence they should receive the best end of the education that you do happen to design for them. And hence the data collection or understanding and analyzing that data would just be there to understand whether the work that you're doing is working out for the community or not. But we are an organization that does believe in measurable results. And hence, all the work that you do, it's best if it's backed in data so that we do understand that the kids that we're serving deserve the best.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thanks, Subhashri. Navakanta, you had a question?
Hi, hello. Thank you for this time. So I hope Assam also included in this circle, right? The opportunities is included in Assam also. Thank you for that. So I have some questions. So uh, as Isa is share, and it is very much aligning with my objective and the vision. And we are also an organization where sole objective is to work for the Andhra Pradesh community. And just I would like to ask some few questions. Like, is it possible to uh, uh, improve the existing schools? And also, we are the vision we have seen with these organizations. School there are in the village. So many children are also there. Uh, Government school especially. Uh, Suppose there are 5 classrooms, but there are only one teacher. So I have a strong burden for these children, where the governments are not able to take up these issues, because single teacher cannot take up the 5 classrooms, and it is not possible for the students to get the justice or education they're supposed to. So such school we have identified so many here in our location. So our team, we want to volunteer these such schools. So in this regard, I would like to ask what kind of opportunity or support we can get from Circle, and how we can work with
Yeah.
Circle. This one.
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking that question. One, I think it's my heart goes out to all the schools that you're talking about and the kids who aren't receiving that sort of education. But in the interest of time, I would love to have a longer conversation with you to be able to understand what sort of partnership that you would be looking at and how could we collaborate. So if you can write to Anaga on the email that's mentioned on the chat, we will set up time with you, get to know you a little better, talk a little more about the opportunity, and try and understand the vision that you have for the space.
Hi everyone, just a quick thing. Firstly, it was so exciting to see interest from you all, and I'm very sure that we'll get some great applications. And secondly, as the Circle India team has already shared, if those of you who are in Rajasthan who want this opportunity for themselves, or people in network, please do share. And for rest of you, feel free to create new opportunities in your areas. Due to another meeting, I have to head out, but it was a pleasure to be here with all of you, and looking forward to connecting with you all on LinkedIn and all. Take care. Good night.
Thanks, Isha. Good night. And thanks, Namakanta, for asking your question.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
we have a
So
few questions.
please
Just a moment.
give some connection. How can we continue in this conversation? So please share some context.
Yes. So quickly responding to some logistical questions. Samir, we will be sharing a recording. Amina shared that it will be up on YouTube on our channel within the week. So you can check that out. And Avakanta, Anaga has shared her email ID as well on the chat a couple of times. You can check that out. Anaga might share it again. And Chahat, if you wish to be connected, maybe we can either connect offline and we could funnel some of the conversations to you. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Thanks, Anaga and Amina, for promptly putting that stuff up on the chat. We have Samir. Was that your question about sharing the recording, or did you have a further question?
Yeah. Actually, I missed a part of the session, so that's why I was looking forward to get the recording as soon as possible. That was the question. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, that's great. There was one question, Chahat, just generally, I think there's a few, some in my DM, some on the chat that have emerged, asking for very specific places. That is there an opportunity in Hyderabad? Is there an opportunity in Punjab? Is there an opportunity in Pune? Is there an opportunity, right? So there are people who are asking for specific spaces. What would you like to say to them?
Let's talk to all of them. Because a few of the geographies that you spoke about, we are either in conversation or it's lined up for the next 6 weeks. And hence, I wouldn't like to let go of any opportunity or the chance to know somebody who can create a splash and impact and change somebody's life in that region. And hence, would love the chance to speak to all of the opportunities and the folks that have brought up these geographies. But yeah, we are talking to multiple stakeholders in all of these geographies.
Absolutely. And I think that again brings me to the element that I was talking about, that if there's a probability, there's a 50% probability that an opportunity might emerge from one of these places. If we have a candidate who is willing to do the work and who is a good fit, that probability jumps to 90, guys. Right? So please, if you are passionate about starting a PPP in the region that you've talked about, reach out to us before we tell you whether there is an opportunity or not, because you reaching out will increase the possibility of that. Yeah, do keep that in mind and just share your email. And Aga is waiting for her inbox to be flooded. Right. So Gayatri, again, if you're working in similar setups in Hyderabad, please reach out. Everybody, including those who message me directly, do reach out to us over email after this. One of our partners who we were speaking to about, reaching out to potential entrepreneurs for this, when they heard all the details that this opportunity promises, they were like, why wouldn't you have 100 or 1,000 applicants for this? Because it has everything. This is right for someone who just is excited about jumping in and achieving a one of a kind, unique a chain of schools that might just change the way that region, that district has functioned before. And they were like, why wouldn't you have? This should be so easy. And so I'm looking forward to it being so easy. And in fact, a little bit difficult because of all the great candidates that we have. So looking forward to a lot of emails coming in and a lot of us having those conversations for moving forward. Once again, friends, this is just the beginning. Let's keep talking. Yeah. All right. We have a feedback form up for you. Really? Right?
Yeah, in case you weren't able to fill in the poll earlier that we had opened up, feel free to just put in your responses if you joined us later. If you've already done that, that's okay. We have it. Go ahead. Oh no.
Yeah, something's up with this.
Sorry, I'll relaunch it. That's fine. We have another. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Just fill this in on your way out. Thank you so much, Chahat, Arshia, and everyone for joining in. Have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.